How are digital currencies transforming local economies? All across the world, digital currencies are changing the traditional financial pillars. Let's discuss the progress of the transition from Europe to the Middle East. Moderated by Jorge Sebastião, Kenneth Staking Service Inc. With Anna Melton, Bitcoin.com. Sadiq Farid, Smart Crowd. And Simone Mazzucca, Wallex Bank.
Good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to have you all here for the AIBC Summit. And as you know, today we're discussing extremely important topics in the area of blockchain adoption, and specifically today about the adoption of digital currencies. As you know, there is many ongoing projects. Several of them are actually here in the region associated with that. As you know, both UAE and Saudi Arabia have been cooperating on this matter for quite some time. And if any of you are interested, there is a couple of papers that have been written on the topic. So today we have a panel of esteemed guests that are going to discuss with me some of this. What I will do is I will give each one of them a few minutes to introduce themselves and to also give their initial opinion on the topic. For myself, I've been in the region for about 25 years, so I'm kind of almost local. So I made this my home quite some time ago. I've done quite a lot of projects in blockchain, about 40 of them. Some of the latest projects include, obviously, Nimbus DeFi, which is a DeFi project which integrates a lot with this digital currencies and extremely important. So please, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Rose Pierce, and I'm here visiting from Puerto Rico, where I've made my home, and we are working to build out the community there. There is a major movement towards creating cryptocurrencies and benefiting local economies. I run a company called Makes Sense Labs, and we build messaging and communication tools on blockchain technology. We have a currency that also has a DeFi protocol as well. So I've been very fascinated, starting with building apps on Bitcoin in 2014 and moving on to all different chains, Ethereum, EOS. We helped launch the EOS network, which is just a continuous evolution. And I've been involved with other projects around the world, including some in Africa. So I'm very excited to talk about economies, how they're going to be benefited by currency, but also local small community cryptocurrencies and how those can radically impact the world.
Okay, amazing. We had the chance yesterday, spent until almost 2 o'clock in the morning with Brock, which is a husband. And of course, Brock has done also amazing work in building a very vibrant community in Puerto Rico. And I think the entire community of Puerto Rico has been moving to Dubai, because at every event we see, I think even especially here in the audience, we probably might have at least 20 or 30 people from Puerto Rico. So it means you have to kind of brush up on either your American English or your Spanish. So buenos dias a todos. So we go to our next colleague. So,
hi, good morning everyone, and thanks for joining with us this conference. My name is Simone Mazzucca. I've been working 25 years on the financial traditional system, and after a long journey on this, I saw the upcoming and the time of the blockchain, and I jump on this system that is a huge space where we can apply and we can express ourselves, our thought, and build a new dreams of life. Today I'm involved in one of the most important project for me, that is Wallex Bank. Wallex Bank is the definition of new asset, a digital asset space. It's the definition of a new trust for build a new economy. And that's my job every day. One of the most important projects that we are developing now is Euro stablecoin. as is one of the most compliant and most sensitive product to the new era of regulation that express what can be the future and application of stablecoin and an economy.
I think not only America, but also, I guess, Europe is doing a lot of work in this area. Obviously, they have also some challenges specifically in the regulation areas of DeFi. So I've been talking to a few regulators in Brussels for the last little time, and I think a lot of upcoming nice work is evolving as we speak. So please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna. It's absolutely fantastic to be here, the COO of Bitcoin.com exchange. I've also been working with the Bitcoin.com brand and the ecosystem there, so it's very exciting to see all the work that Bitcoin.com is doing across the globe. I've been living in Dubai for 2 years, and to see the traction, how blockchain cryptocurrency is being embraced here, being developed here, is hugely exciting. A huge part of why I'm thrilled about this conversation topic today is developing nations as well. It's great to have the juxtaposition of how it's impacting these highly technological societies such as Dubai, but also, you mentioned Africa, all the implications and the benefits that digital currencies can bring to those areas as well.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Davis. I'm not Sadiq, but I am half Persian, so I feel quite close to the region. I'm visiting from Israel. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at Tezos Israel and the founder and CEO of Maverick Finance, a decentralized finance platform built on Tezos. And the entire, idea and thought behind digital currencies transforming local economies. We see that, especially, obviously in other blockchains as well, but specifically within Tezos. It's actually been played out in real terms. Due to Corona, there's a Swiss city called Wetzikon, and the on Tezos have deployed, I believe, a 250,000 Swiss franc voucher system in order to jumpstart growth in the local economy into local businesses. We're in talks with the municipality, with the Tel Aviv municipality, in terms of building not a decentralized system, but a digital system for incentivizing commerce along where the Tel Aviv light rail is being built due to all the construction, and they've stopped the roads, there's no foot traffic, etc. I think it's actually going to make quite an incredible impact on local economies, especially when you think about the specificity to which you can incentivize and allow for and direct commerce with digital assets.
Okay, perfect. So obviously the region has been doing a lot of interesting work in this area. Specifically in Dubai, we have the MCC, the IFC that have contributed tremendously. In Abu Dhabi, we have ADGM. In other places like, for example, Bahrain, the central bank has done a lot of work by about 2.5, almost 3 years ago, introducing the sandbox. And I think a few of the members of the sandbox are actually here as well. But I do believe that one of the important elements, obviously, of digital currencies is to establish a proper ecosystem of partners, especially in payment systems. And these payment systems are really serving to accelerate the economy. And as you know, obviously, given the COVID rules, accelerating the economy is an extremely important element. The examples that were given earlier about stable currencies, for example, things like Bitcoin, although very valuable for maybe a store of value, because of its volatility, is not as practical as a payment system. So I would like to get the panelists to also a little bit of their points of view on establishing a proper payment ecosystem around the digital currencies, both the cryptocurrencies as well as the upcoming CBDCs, like, for example, ERMB. There's also one in the Caribbean as well. There's European countries that's been working very actively in their own digital currency, and of course, the one specifically for the GCC area, the work that has been done both in UAE as well as Saudi Arabia. So, please.
Absolutely. I think you nailed it with stable coins. The volatility of Bitcoin is going to make it so that it's always a store of value or speculative investment. We have now about $60 trillion of remittances through Tether, one of the, well, actually the original stablecoin, the first stablecoin that was ever in existence. And so the question now is, will governments create a fiat-backed stable currency in all regions, and will they make it localized? And I think that now we're looking at Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, Square, all of the major payment processors, at least in America and Europe, are bringing on cryptocurrency, but they're doing instant transactions. So I think for sure we're going to see payments as well as WeChat Pay, where they've already been doing digital payments in the trillions of dollars. It's just a matter of what is actually backing it, what asset are we using?
Obviously, Brock was instrumental in the creation of Tether. As you know, Tether involves you putting some hard US dollars in some bank, and then afterwards digitizing that. But I think if we had the digital dollar, creating Tether would be even faster and certainly more easy. So I would like to have the European version of what is coming down the line.
Well, we can say that today, in most of the country, we don't have a really clear framework and regulation. And for this, at the moment, we can imagine it, but not in the reality, we can say apply it. My concern is that we can say that education and regulation will play a very important game in this bridge. My vision is that basically we need to give transparency, we need to have a solid system, we need to give back to the economy some more ecological status. That means that we have to have value, add value to this innovation, and we have to speed all the process that can help local businesses to reach faster and easier than goals and than cash flow. This is very important. On the other side, the education is very important because today there is a lot and huge confusion in this industry. So the vocabulary has to be totally changed, and the users need to have an approach more real, to have an approach that give them the feeling that something is changing and this is an evolution. This is very important approach from the side. It's the most important things. In another way, we need as well to understand that in this change, we will have centralization, not decentralization. Because we need to imagine a system that has a central API wherever, that could be International Monetary Funds or the World Bank, whatever, that integrates the important value and the important health of an economy on a financial system that is through, before all the system of KYC, all the system of minting and burning of the coins, because it's very important, because we have a very high risk to be in another bubble, but a bubble without control, because differently than before, everyone is able to go somewhere, bring the money from the pocket and pay. Today, more than ever, with other evolution and other process, we're able to spend the money by phone and go and click and pay. But we have to take care really of the value of the coin, of what is behind. Because like this, yes, we can have a very beautiful tools, borderless tools, but on the other side, we can have a very big bubble that get everyone lost. This is my thought. And education for this is really important. The approach is really important. We had to understand the difference between technology and between legal framework, between what is finance. This is very, very important, and this is our work. The operator that is in the Eastern team has to be focused on this kind of topics that we really give the maximum result to every user and to the economy.
Yeah, I think we have different bubbles going on. Lots of printing of money. I think when the money becomes digital, I think we can speed up that printing even a little bit faster. And I think the stock market sometimes is also a bubble, because I think it's not always correlated to the real statistics that is happening. I would like to get your view on the payment systems and ecosystem as well.
Right. So I think as the comfort level of different governments and jurisdictions increases with digital currencies, it's very exciting to see what's going on there. And there has to be a sweet spot between regulation and over-regulation, which will then sort of stifle everything, all the benefits of what digital currencies can be. Yeah, so we're just going to see more and more, basically.
Pleasure, thank you. Since the Abraham Accord, not only we have Puerto Ricans in town, we have a lot of people, I think over 10,000 have visited Dubai as well. So obviously Israel has got a very vibrant ecosystem, both in cybersecurity as well as in blockchain, digital currencies, etc. So.
Yes, Israel's quite the hub for blockchain and cybersecurity. Thank you to the UAE for the hospitality. It's great to see another regional player, especially as powerful as the UAE, as welcoming and warmly hospitable as you guys are and have been. After everything you guys said, I've got so much to comment on, really. But what you said about regulation, it's incredibly important what happens with regulation, because without regulation, we're seeing this gray zone of, how do you raise money? What are the legalities? How do you transfer that money? Because, thankfully, the money printing in one way is great because, as we're actually, that from Maverick, we're going through a raise. It makes it a lot easier when you print $5 trillion. But on the other side of things, we primarily raised in USDT. So that makes it really easier to, A, pay our developers, B, take in money in a heartbeat rather than pay, through traditional payment gateways like wire transfers. The most important thing, though, I think, is the right regulatory framework, because government tends, typically, government tends to over-regulate everything it touches. And so if it regulates, like what we're seeing happen in China with their digital currency, of where you spend your money, how you spend your money, and too much oversight, or creating a bottleneck for the industry, I think that we really need the proper regulatory framework. And I think we're seeing that in the United States with a lot of blockchain-friendly entrepreneurs who are now moving into politics. And so they can frame this regulatory structure in a friendly way rather than a restrictive way.
I want to move a little bit from payment systems into another important area of blockchain and digital currencies, and it's the importance of what I call smart contracts. There's one interesting project that has been done in Europe from a local company. I'll just say that it's the largest telecom player in the world, in which a smart contract was actually used to negotiate it with them and the suppliers. And this usage of smart contracts is going to save this company over $100 million. So I want to understand the opinion of not just the digitalization of currencies, but the combination of these digitalization with the power of smart contracts and adding extra value and accelerating and reducing substantial the operational costs, both at the government level as well as in the enterprise level.
Yeah, in its simplest form, just in case anyone wonders what is a smart contract, because it sounds very...
It's not very smart, actually.
It sounds very intelligent. It's programmable money. So it can be as simple as if the weather is over 70, I'm in Fahrenheit, sorry, today, and I bet on it with a smart contract. If it is, I get the money, and if it's not, you get the money. It's a very, very simple, baseline, simple program, or it can be extremely complex. And what's beautiful about it is with programmable money, you're essentially baking the contract into the financial transaction. And so you don't need a series of additional middlemen or layers like a lawyer or anything else that's required traditionally to be able to make those transactions. We're seeing it on very small scales, and we're seeing it on very large scales like what you're talking about, because it provides protection for both parties, and it provides the ease of transaction. Automation and autonomy are a huge step forward. And this conference is also about AI, and I think that the two major technologies that will radically transform the world are blockchain and AI. And when you put them together, that's autonomous money. That is a multi-trillion-dollar implication that we're going to see, and that's all based on smart contracts, which can be really basic.
Smart contracts in Europe.
Yeah, the smart contract for me is the soul, of the logic behind the token. Is the soul that we can say respect the rule of the interchange, and this is very important. And I think that in the futures, it's very important that it's issued from a financial institution, because the financial institution will be the regulator on the top and would make the arbitration for exchange. And it's a very important stage of any kind of project and has to be really considered carefully because it's smart contract without any kind of rule and frame is just a piece of code in the system.
So yeah, the amazing things, many amazing things about smart contracts, but when we're talking about digital currencies and local economies, what that can mean for like entrepreneurs, you know, small to medium businesses, that creation of trust, where before, you know, traditional financial methods, you're relying on trust there, or, you know, being banked, for example, and this just helps remove those barriers massively. And yeah, so the microloans, peer-to-peer lending, and what that can mean for local economies as well is just hugely exciting.
Your view on smart contracts?
I mean, smart contracts are probably one of the most revolutionary things to happen to humanity in the last, you know, since the internet. We're going to see things, I mean, like Aave, Compound Maker, Maverick, all of these institutions are essentially neo-banks, if you think about them. They're automated banks, and you no longer need, you know, banking systems, waiting in line, tellers, ATMs. It's going to revolutionize the way we handle money, the way we think of money. And so I can't believe I want to say I want to make it easier to pay taxes, but if you could just imagine for a moment when you go to actually pay for a product in a store with the 5% VAT in the UAE, for example, the moment that you, I can't say swipe your credit card, but the moment that you actually make that payment, you can automate that the taxes go straight to the equivalent of the IRS, for example, or the tax office. And so if you can take all of that black market out of cash and automate these tax products, you can actually probably lower your taxation on the population, which would also inhibit extra growth of the economy. Because as you take that black market and turn it into additional revenue streams, you don't need to collect as much, hopefully. We'll see what happens. But it has tremendous implications for every class of person, essentially.
Along with digital currencies, as you know, I consider two other important areas is the creation of virtual organizations. And I see two important elements of that. One is the DeFi, which stands for decentralized finance, and we have lots of projects being presented here. And the second one is DAO, or decentralized autonomous organization. So we can now start to create virtual organizations on top of digital currencies. So digital services, digital financial services, as well as digital organizations. Your views on that as well?
I think the DAO is the next stage of the autonomy that we're talking about. And you see it as DAO or DAC, a decentralized autonomous community. There are several chains that are making this possible, and the community currencies or creator tokens are coming. One of the biggest revolutionary things you probably heard of so far is the NFT, which is allowing for a creator to be able to continue to have a royalty, just like we're talking about with the potential of baking in the tax, you're baking in the royalty to it. So 100% I see the future of organizations being less bureaucracy, less hierarchy of infrastructure, but actually just basic governance that's on chain. It's a really incredible movement that we're going towards. There's a book by Dan Larimer that was just released that he is one of the top developers in the entire ecosystem. He's created 4 chains that were all the top performing chains of all time in their day, EOS being the most recent one. And More Equal Animals discusses this entire governance process. He's one of the founders of the DAO.
What about one interesting aspect about Europe? I noticed there is very different approach. Like there's some countries, no taxation. Other countries, like for example, the US, anything above 10,000, now they want to tax or know about what's going on.
Yeah, Euro will be one of the most difficult countries to really shape on this new era because they have different countries, different regulation, and all the countries as well are not aligned in the same time. The structure is very old and not agile. I think that Euro really need strong work on that way, and the process will be really longer for see the benefit. Regarding DAO, I think that is the extension of what is the technology and will be a server, we can say, system on the top and in this case can really accelerate the economy of Europe in this if it's well adopted.
So yeah, just quickly, conscious of time, yeah, the rise of DAOs is hugely exciting, that, you know, transparency, governance, the reduction of bureaucracy and red tape and having things baked in, as you've both mentioned, it can only be a fantastic thing for this day.
I have only good things to say about DAOs, really. We're building one in-house. There's a bunch building on Tezos. The idea that you can, when it comes to regulation, you can put a DAO virtually anywhere. You can domicile it in God knows where. The IP is owned by some company, but it's really run by an organization. And the best way I like to describe a DAO, honestly, is it's a co-op, a cooperative business. And so I think we'll see regulation for DAOs move in the direction of how co-ops function. Less so in the term of one person, one vote, but more so on the more governance you have, the more governance tokens you have, the more votes you have. There is that distinctive difference between a co-op and a DAO. But I do think that it will revolutionize and automate a lot of the institutions that we work with. The payment gateways, the financial transactions, and the way we voice our opinions and our wants and needs.
I think we're almost running out of time, so I would like to maybe make, from my side, some closing remarks and then give every chance to my panelists to also say their takeaway that you should take action as we move forward. I do believe that digital currencies, we're still in the beginning. The future looks extremely bright. We have lots of contribution by a combination of technologies like DeFi, DAO, smart contracts, as well as establishing proper ecosystems. But I do see digital currencies as an accelerator of economy. I do believe, though, the importance and the value of that is going to come through the next generation of tokenization of assets. So the tie-up between the physical world and the digital world is going to be extremely important to the success of this industry.
Absolutely. Blockchain is just over a decade old. So if you think about the internet at 10 years old, it was still a very nascent, very young technology and system. And now it's global, it runs everything. It's permeating everything we do every day. So if you think about it that way, you're here early. And this is going to only get better and get bigger. I'm very excited about the future for Dubai, particularly. I see this as a very technology-forward area of the world that also has a bridge between everywhere else. So it's been really wonderful to be here all the way from Puerto Rico and to see how many people are here and how beautiful this ecosystem is. I'm really happy to join in on projects, and if anyone wants to chat with me, I'll be here throughout the day. You'll see Brock Pierce also joining us on stage later this afternoon, and he'll have some amazing insights as well.
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited because we are affording a very big change that can really reestablish new perspective and new ecology on the businesses, and accelerating many results and many benefits for the local economy.
Yeah, it's just thrilling to see in recent years, particularly the speed that businesses and governments and mass adoption is really starting to get traction is just brilliant. Great time to be in Dubai, and thanks, and have a great conference, everyone.
I just actually want to build exactly on what you said. We're at the basic cusp of blockchain. It's really just the beginning, even though it seems like it's to use the term, it's mooned so much so far. But we really are at this place where the human readable, the interface, it was built by developers, essentially for developers, if you think about it at the beginning. And then you see these chains, EOS and Tezos specifically, that bring in updates, and we're constantly pushing innovation to make it easier and easier for people to use, to understand, and to implement. So as we move forward, like as you said, it'll become as second nature to use blockchain for money or DAOs or DeFi as WhatsApp. So thank you for the hospitality.
With all of this, I would like to thank my esteemed guests, panelists. And I think the most important word that was said here to close this was do not forget the user. This is the most important, your customer, who is going to use these digital currencies. And if you do that, then you'll get mass adoption. Actually, I want to get an interesting quote that actually came from Brock from some time ago. And it's, he coined something called the new definition of a billionaire. And his definition was quite interesting. It's a solution that actually helps 1 billion people. So I see digital currencies as potentially one of the contributing elements to helping over 1 billion people. So thank you very much.
Thank you.